Hey guys, Alex with Infotainment here. Today I'm going to be working on this Jeep Wrangler Sport and I'm going to be showing you guys how to install an electronic trailer brake controller. Some of these Jeeps will actually come pre-wired for them, so I'm going to show you how to do it both ways. So this installation is actually going to allow you to hook up a trailer with electric brakes to your Jeep and control it from inside the cab. Let's get started. So as always guys, anytime we do an electric modification, we're going to go ahead and undo our negative battery terminal, and we're going to be starting around the battery. So the harness here will actually be plugging in one to battery and one to ground. So getting started at the battery, we're going to be adding this to one of these battery terminals here. I would use this far right one, as this one is not particularly used on our truck. However, they might be used on yours, so just pick whichever one has the least amount. And then this will be going to this ground right here. There's a little bit of confusion in the user manual and the instruction guide that come with this kit. So we're actually going to be running this cable. I'm going to be crimping a patch connector here, and we're going back to the cab with this wire. In the instruction manual, it will say that this wire is already in the passenger side of the cab, which it is not. So we're going to be modifying that a little bit, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a second. So basically we're going to be taking the wheel well liner out to gain access to the firewall. So there's two 10mm bolts. So we'll go ahead and remove those 10s. After that, there are a bunch of push clips that you need to take out at the very back here. So we'll go ahead and remove those. And there's one more at the very front, which we can access here. So once we're up under the wheel well, there is a grommet that we're going to send a zip tie through the front, and we're going to be pulling our wires all the way through. So we're going to be taping our wire loom here to the zip tie, and we're going to be pulling through from the front of the firewall, and I'll show you on the inside where we're pulling through. Like I mentioned before, we do need to extend a wire from the trailer brake control wire, which is up at the top of the engine bay. So we're going to be doing that at this time as well. So we'll take these wires here and we're going to feed between the two plastic pieces. And that's where we're going to be sending the wires through the firewall. So if you installed our trailer wiring harness for the lights, it included this wire which says service brake on it. In the instructions, this will say it's supposed to be inside the cab, which it is not. It is tied in with the power and ground. So I'm going to extend this wire to go back to the cab. So what I'll use here is a little wire crimp. This is a butt connector with a built-in heat shrink. Make sure you heat shrink these, because under the engine we don't want water to get in this connection right here. So I've already crimped my wire extension. I am using a different color, so just be mindful of what color you're using. So we'll get ahead and snip the end off our service brake wire right here. I'd take this tag off as well, considering that this has to go through the firewall. Make sure you're using about the same size wire. This is a 20 gauge wire and I'm using 18 to extend it. Go ahead and crimp that down. Make sure the connection is secure, and we'll go ahead and heat shrink this as well. You can really use any type of butt connector, just make sure it has one that has some heat shrink on it. So now we have a secure connection, and I'm going to take the other end of the red wire right here and I'm going to send it through the firewall so we can get this back into the cab. So go ahead and send this down here the same way that I just sent the remainder of the wiring. So now we have our plug wiring. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and our service patch here that we're going to be connecting inside the cab. So we're going to go ahead and tape these to our zip tie, and we're going to go ahead and pull those through into the cab. I want to make sure this is all nice and secure here. Tape to our zip tie, just like this. Don't go overkill on the tape, you'll never get it off. So what I'd recommend here is just spraying either a little bit of some type of lubricant, silicone lube, or some WD-40 just on this, so when it passes through the rubber grommet here, we don't get too stuck on any of the rubber that's in here. So I'll go ahead and spray that down now and pull the rest through, and I'll see you guys on the other side. So up under the passenger side footwell, here is our firewall where we've sent the Audio Plus wire loom through, as well as you can see my zip tie there. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that through. So here we have the wire loom that we're pulling through here. And again, it helps if you add a little bit of grease to it, just so it helps slides a little bit easier. We reach a point where it might be a little bit hard to pull because we do have one other wire pigtail. Might give you a little bit of an issue. We'll just go ahead and slowly pull it through. So these are the two wires that are also attached. Go ahead and pull those through. So there's another factory wire that we need to pull out of a loom here, and that's going to be our B15 wire. And sometimes it's just hanging, sometimes it's tucked away in this loom right here, but it should be a free wire, and it looks, the end of it looked just like that there. And the wire should actually be green and white. So if you peel back the layer, it will be green and white. So that's how you know you have your B15 wire. So now we're going to be doing a little bit of wiring work under the passenger side footwell here, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Under your footwell here, we're going to be doing a little bit of crimping. You can use anything like a crimp cap, you can use a butt connector, however you guys want to do it. It comes with some solder, but unless you know how to solder, I wouldn't recommend that way. There's definitely easier ways to do that. These particularly don't need to be heat shrink wrapped. I like to, just for extra security. This red wire is what I extended from the engine bay, and again, that was a blue wire coming from all of the trailer light controller. So we're gonna take this blue and put it to this red. Again, this red wire is what I made from the blue wire. So technically this is blue to blue. And then we're gonna take our B15 wire, which is white and green, and we're gonna patch it to our white wire from the wiring harness. So again, we're gonna take our engine bay wire to our blue wire, crimp those together, and our white wire, and our green and white wire, and crimp those together. And basically what that does, this controls the output of the gain to the trailer brake, and then this will give us a signal that it's on. So after we're done crimping our wires here, we're just gonna go ahead and tuck these behind this kick panel here. You can zip tie them if you want, but they won't go anywhere. After we're done with that, we're gonna go ahead and remove the floor mat here. We'll unhook this guy right here, and there's one in the back that we're gonna take out there. We'll fold this forward. So we're actually gonna take our zip tie from before. We're gonna go ahead and push this through. So you can see just under this little bracket right here, and this will send straight through to the other side. So, and then we're gonna tuck it back behind our carpet here. I'll show you guys that in just a second. So now we are on the driver's side, and you can see where my zip tie, if you just pull the carpet back right here, you can see where my zip tie is coming through here. Go ahead and pull that through just a couple of feet there. So back on the passenger side here, you can see exactly where we did that. I like to tuck it behind the carpet here just so it stays nice and secure. 1 and two. Tuck it up underneath the transmission tunnel. Go ahead and replace our floor mat and put our kick panel back here. The instructions will actually tell you to run it up under the glove box and zip tie it. You can do it either way. I like to go through that tunnel underneath here. Makes it for a clean, easy install, and you won't have any issues with the glove box. Go ahead and put this kick panel back now. This just snaps right into place here. So before we move on to the driver's side footwell, I'm going to show you guys how to actually install the brake controller, and it actually will install right in this portion right here. So we'll go ahead and start to take off the dash here. This just pops off. There's 4 or 5 clips. Take that off. 1. This guy here. 2. Set that aside, and there's 1 Phillips head screw just holding this whole panel in right here. Don't lose that. And this should just pop out. And so this is, like I said, this is what we're gonna be working on here. Since we've added some accessories to this Jeep, we're gonna have this patch cable here. So originally this plug will be plugged into the back here. So we're gonna be removing this guy right here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove all this stuff here just because it's makes it a little bit easier to run the wiring for the controller. So there's 3 plugs on the media plug here. 1, 2, and 3. There's 1 plug here for the auxiliary switch, and then there's 1 big one here. Unclip that little red plug. So now we're going to be running our harness wiring for the actual trailer brake controller knob. So after we get our panel forward and all the clips disconnected, this is the actual controller here for the trailer brake gain. So there's a couple of pieces that get installed into the dash. So I'm going to go ahead and send this wire down. Go ahead and send this straight down here. If you just reach your fingers up past the driver kick panel, you'll be able to feel it. And make sure you send it between the 2 black parts. If you try to go this way and down, you might get caught up on some stuff. So there's a black piece here for the HVAC, and then this black panel here. So we're gonna just come down, and we can leave that hanging. So then we're gonna go ahead and take this panel here, put in here, and remove the core out of here. You can just take 2 screwdrivers, stick them down the sides here, and 1 there, and this should push out. So once we get it moving a little bit, you can go ahead and remove your screwdrivers. Just push on the blue there, and this should be pulling out here. So that removes your core there. So once we get the core out, we can discard that since we'll no longer need that. This whole core just pushes through there. And there's another set of clips right there, which we're gonna have to remove that. Don't worry about breaking these because it shouldn't need it anymore. So this should come out here. We can go ahead and set that aside. Won't be needing that anymore. So next, after we removed the cigarette lighter, we're gonna go ahead and put the trailer brake controller cage in. And the way this, you can actually see 2 prongs right here, and those are gonna install at the top. So we can go ahead and set this in, and that'll actually all click in place. This can still rotate a little bit, but there's a little tab here that goes in that groove. We're gonna go ahead and take our knob, and just push this in like this, and that should spin freely. So now we can rotate 1 to 10. It should stop at 10. Go back down there. So then we'll go ahead and flip this over. We'll take our gain controller here. Go ahead and slide this down. It should click. So right now we're at 1, and we rotate this over. So basically it's reading from this side over here. Put that straight up and down. Plug in and just press. I like to do it in reverse order just in case there's anything we forget. go ahead and plug that back in. This can be a little tricky getting through that hole there. There we go. Make sure everything's clicked in. Start and stop work again. Got a trailer brake controller here. So the next one is going to be the white connection. We'll go ahead and slide that in. The third one is black. And the blue one is the far right. So basically what this connection does, once we put this up in the driver's side footwell, this will connect straight into here. And then our connection from our controller will go here. So I'm gonna try to get a shot of this up in the driver's side footwell, but it may be a little bit tight. So down in the driver's side foot panel is gonna be this metal bracket here. And this will be where our controller gets installed. So using this hole here and one more a little further up, which I won't be able to show on camera, but I'll get an after shot. So here is how the controller is installed. You can see there's two open studs now, which will use the 10mm included nuts to screw down. Here is the controller after installation, and you can see the two plugs where we're gonna input our harnesses from the controller. Here's a shot of the controller with both wire harnesses plugged in. We're gonna go ahead and just zip tie this back to secure the wires. So back under the hood, we're gonna go ahead and connect the positive and negative. You could do this first if you want. I usually do it last just in case anything goes on electrically. So we're gonna use this last stud here. Make sure we don't over tighten that. Go ahead and put this cover back on. So that'll squeeze just right through there. And then as far as the ground goes, we're gonna use this stud right here. Go ahead and put this stud here. If you installed our trailer light wiring kit, this is gonna be the same stud that we used for that. And now we're all set to use our trailer brake controller. We're gonna go ahead and put the fender liner back as well. Just one of my screws in first. So after all of our push clips are in, there's two more on the back side over here. So instead of replacing these with plastic rivet tools, I'm gonna just go ahead and use one of our Christmas tree clips here. These are a little bit easier than getting a whole tool. You can get these clips for about $5 on Amazon, and they're just called fender liner clips. We're all set. So guys, we just got done installing our trailer brake controller for this Jeep Wrangler. Install wasn't too bad. This gives you a whole nother level of safety when towing a trailer with electric brakes. Check us out on Infotainment.com, where we have a ton of different accessories for not only this Jeep Wrangler, but a bunch of different vehicles. Thanks so much for watching.